but a lot of talk in the chat about the over, even though the market is moving towards the under. We have nobody, not one person here saying Steelers. No one is saying Steelers. So just Vikings looks here. Dennis Garcia says, I have no bet on the game, but lean Minnesota, and I'm a degenerate. So that's what I was trying to find. All right, let's move on to Sunday. And I apologize if you hear Carter in the background screaming for titty. Is it clear?
I did hear Carter screaming for titty.
He won't last much longer. He'll get that titty in his mouth. It won't last much longer. There's Mr. Fun Monk saying Steelers. Mr. Fun Monk saying Steelers. All right, we move on to 1 p.m. Eastern. Baltimore Ravens 8-4, 3-3 on the road at Cleveland Browns 6-6, 4-2 at home. I applaud Birdie for 2 bets he's made here. He's on the Browns at -1. I could have had them today at -2.5 and -105, and I was so close to betting them until the word came out that Njoku, after 3 catches for 35 yards and a touchdown, was added to the COVID list today. And I always fear more players will be joined. Now, will it be the tight end group? Because Stephen Carlson was added to the COVID list today as well. Harrison Bryant is doubtful with a high ankle sprain. So that leaves Austin Hooper as the only tight end on the roster. So with that, I held off, with the thought being the market's already moved from 1 to 2.5. What's it going to matter if I wait 24 more hours? So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the Browns at -2.5, and this total opening up at 43.5 and now at 42 or 42.5. When we get to the cash flow in this spot, we have 3,127 tickets. 58% of the tickets are on the Browns, and 88% of the cash is on the Browns coming out of their bye week. 81% of tickets are on the over, and 98% of cash is on the over. And we have seen that total drop either a full point or 1.5 points. First Energy Stadium, Cleveland, Ohio, 42 Fahrenheit, sunny. There looks like there will be wind, 16 miles per hour at this point, but that could change drastically. Baltimore comes in after losing 2019 at the Steelers on Sunday. They went the Ravens went for 2 after scoring a touchdown with 12 seconds left and were denied. They dominated play until the fourth quarter. They lost Marlon Humphrey in the second half, no healthy corners, and that is a season-ending torn pectoral muscle in Sunday's 2019 loss. I only mentioned that -1 that Birdie's on. He's also moved on the Browns to win the division at +650, which has given me a little hope for my Browns futures. Obviously, this is a must-win game, and I have the over 9.5 wins on the Browns for the season. I almost feel like I don't need to bet this game because it's like I already have with my futures action. Lamar was 23 of 37 for 253 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Also ran 8 times for 55 yards. Marquise Brown led receivers with 5 catches for 55 yards. Devonta Freeman ran 14 times for 52 yards, caught 5 passes for 45 yards. But the offensive line struggled all game long. They allowed 7 sacks to the Steelers. The Ravens were unable to dial up pressure of their own. They finished with 1 sack, 3 quarterback hits. They lost their guard, Patrick McCarry, to a hand injury. He's going to be out of the lineup, they say, for a few weeks. Cornerback Chris Westry, linebacker Jalen Ferguson, wide receiver Miles Boykin, tight end Nick Boyle were all inactive last week, and are listed as questionable this week. Browns come in fresh off their bye week. They did slip into last place in the AFC North without playing on Sunday, but losses by Baltimore, Cincinnati, Las Vegas, and Denver, all playoff contenders, really helped these Browns. They were last seen in a Week 12 loss to these Ravens, 16-10. They intercepted Lamar Jackson 4 times, but couldn't pull out the win. Mayfield 18 of 37 for 247 yards and a touchdown, but they were incapable of moving the ball on the ground. 17 carries for 40 yards. Kareem Hunt had 7 carries for 20. Nick Chubb 8 carries for 16. Landry caught 6 passes for 111 yards. Stefanski's talked about coming in off the bye, using both Chubb and Hunt on the field at the same time moving forward. And second-year linebacker Jacob Phillips is expected to return this week after missing 12 weeks with a biceps injury suffered in training camp. That would be a big boost. Offensive tackle Jack Conklin underwent surgery to repair his ruptured patellar tendon. Bebsie, more North action at First Energy Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio, Ravens-Browns.
I mean, I'm just trying to process everything you said there. It's a whirlwind of emotions, thoughts, emotions. I want to back the Browns and the under, and I may talk myself in or out of it right here. But listen, did you say 98% of the cash is on the over?
Well, it's a very yes, I did. It's very small sample size at this point, but yes.
Okay, small sample size. Okay, I'm gonna ignore that stat then. It doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care. I'm putting it out of my mind because I like the under in this game. I like the under because I just think, especially after the fact that the Ravens have already beat the Browns this year, and yeah, look, Harbaugh owns the Browns like no other team. But this is a rest advantage for Cleveland. It's an injury advantage for Cleveland. With Chubb back in the lineup, I expect him to go off against this banged up Baltimore Ravens defense. And I just see this as it's crazy just to say this for the Baltimore Ravens outside of Lamar Jackson, but I see a running attack from both of these teams. I see a very slow, sloppy game in cold Cleveland Browns Stadium.
Yeah, and
I don't see a ton of scoring. Like I was surprised to hear that 98%. Happy to hear it's a small sample size because I really feel like this is an under here.
Dennis Garcia says Cleveland got Baltimore by Baltimore. Baltimore got hated rival Pittsburgh in between. Advantage Cleveland. That said, no way I lay it. Lamar gifting them 4 interceptions 2 weeks ago, and Cleveland doesn't win or cover. Horrible sign. This Ravens secondary keeps taking hits. I mean, just the fact that Harbaugh was afraid to go to overtime with the Steelers because of that secondary, and they were, dominating the game until Humphrey went down. Does that not make you think that the Browns could do similar damage to the Ravens and that the Ravens are now beat up too far?
Listen, the Ravens are getting scarcely close to being able to field a team, but the one thing I really think keeps me off of Cleveland is the COVID situation. Because like you mentioned, sometimes one goes down early in the week and you see the dominoes start to fall after that. So what I think I will move on for this show is the under. However, I'm going to wait and see if Cleveland gets battered with COVID. If they don't, and I can still get a 2.5, I think I'll move on Cleveland by Sunday.
All right. Well, let's lock in that under for you right now. We have a 42.5 at a couple different books. I'm going to pull up Circa. Those of you in the States, Circa has limits. And so the limits can be very they could upset you and make it very difficult if you're gambling for a living. But if you're not passing that $1,000 and $2,000 bets, I think they have the best odds of any book out there. So I'm going to pull this up right now here and see if I can get. I can. So I can see. Here we go. That's already 5 cents better than any other book. I can get you the under 42.5 at minus 105. Under 42.5 at minus 105. Available at Circa Sports, and that's Bebsie. And you might be moving on the Browns, depending on. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, if there's no COVID issues soon, I think I am going to move on the Browns. And I think that buy is huge. And I think the injury to Marlon Humphrey is almost as big.
Yeah, both of those things are monsters, especially because Cleveland's coming off of losing to Baltimore. So Baltimore beats them in a game they should have won, given the fact that Lamar Jackson threw 4 picks. An ugly loss. And then the Ravens play their true rival, the Steelers, beat the shit out of each other, and then they got to face Cleveland, who's coming fresh off that ugly loss with rest, while Baltimore had to play in between. Is it? It just the only thing is the COVID. The other only thing, there's two only things, is it just feels too obvious.
Well, I'm not going to let it concern me. I think that I think Harbaugh told us everything we need to know. We got Sharpie joining us as well in the house. He says Lamar Jackson over pass yards have now hit at a 75% clip this year. Gerald Jones has played 4 unders today: Cleveland, Baltimore, Denver, Detroit, Jacksonville, Tennessee, and Seattle, Houston. I'll copy and paste that, Gerald Jones, so we can discuss that as we move forward. All right, there is the big battle in the North. Ravens, Browns.